What's poppin', people? It's Dante, currently walking around the Fairmount Waterworks here in Philadelphia along the hidden river, the Schuylkill. And today I'm thinking about how to create a new world with photography. So I technically utilize the Ricoh GR compact camera technology. I like describing it this way because I feel as though the compact camera allows for more creativity and ultimate photographic thriving. I find that when I'm shooting with a compact camera, I'm less considerate when it comes to making a perfect composition and more so follow my intuition. And so because of this, I'm photographing with a snapshot approach, looking at life in all of its complexities in new ways. Here I'm looking at the river, watching as the waterfall flows and this beautiful pattern emerged from the foam. And so when I shoot with the Ricoh, I have the 3X here with a small JPEG file, all of the settings cranked to the maximum. You could actually find my settings on my website at dantesisifo.com. I highly suggest giving it a try. This is the most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing photograph that you can get out of the Ricoh, straight out of camera in my opinion. And yeah, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the foam, and when I'm just using the program mode, the P mode, single point autofocus, pointing and shooting. And as I look at this, I change the angle, I tilt the camera sometimes, and I snapshot a lot. I snapshot hundreds of photos of the same thing, and I think it's really fun. What I do to create an otherworldly, sort of sublime experience when you're viewing the photographs when I return home is I explore the exposure compensation. So using the adjustment lever on the top, I'll make a single image with 0 exposure compensation. I'll do -3, -0.7, -1, even -1.3, -1.7, -2. Decreasing the exposure and underexposing the image makes the photograph much more interesting because there's a mystery to viewing it, and you don't really know what the photograph was of. You know, this photograph I'm making here could have been of some sort of weird texture on a wall, but I'm looking at the foam on the ground, and there's lots of different shapes and things that form from the water, and it becomes this almost abstract sort of like expression, kind of like a calligraphy drawing, right? Where you just swipe the paintbrush across the canvas. Yeah, I'm looking at the way that the shapes form and the water flows and the pattern emerges here, and it's really engaging for my visual senses, just looking at it, just experiencing it, listening to the sounds of the you know, the water, looking at the seagulls in flight, basking in the sunlight, having beautiful architecture around me, the waterworks, the skyline, Philadelphia in the background, beautiful river, beautiful day to walk. It's really cold, but yeah, I think that ultimately when you go out into the world and make photographs, don't necessarily look at it for what it is, but what it could be. And so when I'm photographing this way, I'm essentially asking questions with each click of the shutter. Almost, you know, I'm just, you know, you hear the saying like, live each day like it's your last. What if we lived like it was the first day that we were born? What would you see? You know, what would the eyes of a child witness and photograph? And I like to remain in this playful state of exploring no matter where I am. You know, I walk this same mundane lane every single day, but I always find a new way to make a photograph, because ultimately photography is endless. There's so much to see, to do, to explore, and just like this river ever flowing, you cannot step in the same river twice. You will not make the same photograph twice, and that thought fuels me to go out there and creatively thrive, making new work that is not necessarily aligned with the traditional approach to photography, sort of photographing real life, but creating a new world, a new life, a new universe with the camera. And I think that this is a much more liberating, freeing, and fun way to photograph. So yeah, I think that this practical suggestion of using the compact camera, using the particular settings, not having to process the files when you go home, snapshotting frequently, making lots of adjustments, with the angle, or you know, like now I'm up here from a higher angle, and when I look at it from above, the shapes and things that form in the composition are different. Just changing your perspective, you know, going low, going high, you know, changing elevation, looking out at the skyline. You know, find yourself in a place like this where you have a clear 360-degree view of your surroundings. I think when you're in a place like this and you can look up at the sky, you recognize, kind of like that eagle that's standing on top of the pavilion there. There's a sculpture of an eagle. You kind of zoom out like the eagle in flight, and you go up from above and you look down at the world, and you recognize all the patterns in nature and human behavior, you know, the way that the light shines and casts upon surfaces, the different zigzag patterns of the shadows, all of the fleeting moments and details, the birds in flight. And when you look at the world from this perspective, from above looking down, I think that's where you can become the ultimate creator. Watching those geese fly in the sky, migrating south. Here they come. Beautiful. Yeah, I think when you look at the world this way, it empowers you, and those are just some simple ideas and thoughts and ways I see the world, and hopefully it can empower you to go out there and make your own world, a new world.